Hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about Bach Flower Remedies for children. So I guess the two main things that you want to know are they safe and will they work for my child? So firstly, safety. Yeah, Bach Flower Remedies are completely safe for all ages, from babies through to old age, including pregnant women. They work on a vibrational energetic level and they don't interact with any existing medication. And yet they're completely safe, natural, and gentle, and a way of helping children and the people of all ages with their mental health and emotional well-being in a natural, safe way. They do contain a little bit of alcohol. If you are thinking about creating a personalised blend through my company, Mindful Remedies, you can email us and we can make it almost alcohol free, but we can discuss through the options with you. And the amount that they take is very small, so it's not like they'll be getting drunk off it. And the second question is in terms of do they work? Yes, Bach Flower Remedies are really great for children. Their habits are obviously less ingrained because they're younger. So the way that the flower remedies work is the more ingrained issues are, the longer it will take for them to shift. So we find that the shifts with children happen really quickly because their habits are often less ingrained, obviously depending on the child because things work at different speeds for everyone, but on the whole they work well with children. So I wanted to talk about, I guess, different life stages and the stages that children go through from being babies through to, well, I'm going to do another video on teenagers, so through to, I guess, that teenage stage. So I've got kind of here a list of different remedies and different stages of life, and some suggestions on things that might be helpful for your child depending on what emotional issues they're going through and maybe what stage of life. So to start off with then, babies. So babies, it can be quite traumatic coming out of the womb. And so to help get over the birth trauma, I'd suggest trying Star of Bethlehem, which is really good for processing trauma, providing comfort, and sort of healing any kind of emotional wounds around trauma. And it can also be really helpful for the mother as well. Then I would suggest walnut, and actually this is a really good one for all stages of transitions of life, which happens quite a lot with children. So there's obviously a big change for babies as they come out of the womb. It's a massive change. They've been really nicely huddled up in mummy's tummy, and then suddenly they're in this crazy world outside. So that can help with adapting to change, letting go of the past, and kind of stability as you go through periods of change. So that one would also be related to things like starting school or going into a new class or starting nursery or shifts within the house. So if you're moving house or maybe if there's a parental breakup, that kind of thing, that's really helpful for any period of change. Then if your baby is perhaps a bit colicky, maybe a bit irritated, a bit restless, you might want to look at vervain or impatiens. Then as you kind of go through to the toddler stages, temper tantrums. So cherry plum is really good for this feeling of a loss of control and you completely lost it. So that helps with calmness and composure. But it's also really important to get to the root of why your child is having a temper tantrum. So, for example, it can be quite common to be really frustrated if they're trying to learn to walk or talk and they're not going as fast as they want, in which case try impatiens. Beach for intolerance, so sort of my way or the highway. Vine if bossy. Holly, which is really good for anger, and spite. So if they're biting another child or if there's sibling jealousy, so it's sort of an outburst of anger towards another person or another child. Then sleep. So sleep can be something that parents are really keen on having and maybe don't get very much of. So nightmares, for that I would suggest Aspen and Rock Rose. So Aspen is sort of anxiety, but for no particular reason. So a sort of otherworldliness. Sometimes it can be, it's like just a sense of things being a bit uneasy, but without really knowing why, and just being a bit on edge. And then for nightmare, like in the moment of a nightmare or night terror, Rock Rose, which is for real feelings of extreme panic and terror. And then Mimless might be another one to try, which is if they're maybe afraid of the dark, or they think there's monsters under their bed or something like that. That's for specific fears. So where there's a known fear and they're worried about something specific. And then if your child is hyperactive, you might want to try Vervain, which is for children and people who are very enthusiastic, very fanatical, always on, go, 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 go. And also Impatiens, which is you want everything to go quickly, and you get frustrated if things don't go as quickly as you'd like. So those are two that you might want to look at for hyperactivity, which can also be related to sleeping issues. And then starting nursery or potty training, you might want to look at walnut, again for that times of change. And chestnut bud is a really good one as well for potty training or bedwetting. So this is for if your child has got maybe learning blocks, so they aren't getting things as quickly as you'd like. So learning to use the potty or learning to get up in the night and go to the toilet. So this can really help. It really helped my daughter particularly with bedwetting. So yeah, definitely try that one. And for any kind of learning blocks, it can be really helpful. Like when starting school and they're trying to learn phonics, for example, and if they're just not quite getting it, then yeah, give chestnut bud a try. And then starting school, so confidence can quite often be an issue, and if your child is lacking a bit in confidence and is sort of a bit reluctant to to try, or is feeling a bit inferior to some of their classmates, Larch would be the one to go for. And then Mimulus as well, maybe for if your child is quite shy and maybe fearful of things. So this is for anxiety for known things, but it's also for people who are a bit shy or timid. Maybe they blush easily, that kind of thing. And then Rock Rose, if your child is very upset or tearful or stressed about going into school, that can quite often be an issue, like clinging to the parents. Then in Bach Flower Remedies, we talk about type remedies. So what kind of person you're like, what your personality is like. And there are certain ones that are specific to your child's personality. So here are a few that might resonate with you. So if your child's a bit of a daydreamer and they're sort of not really with it, not really in the present, you might want to consider clematis, which can really help with grounding and focus. Then if they're a bit sulky, they're always like, life's not fair, why me? You might want to consider willow. If they're a bit bossy, like one of my daughters, she might be helped by vine. So if they're kind of a bit demanding of people, if they kind of put a bit brave face on things and they're always kind of outwardly a bit cheerful and everything seems fine, but underneath they're a bit worried or a bit sad, you might want to look at agrimony. So that's sort of like hiding behind a brave face. If they have a tendency to be a bit selfish, then you'd look at chicory. And if they can be quite selfish or self-centered, which I think every child goes through a bit of a phase of that, heather. Then for hyperness, and if they're a bit kind of like restless and always on the go, vervain. And if your child has ADHD, I've written a blog post specifically around ADHD, so I'll put the link in the description of this video if you want to check that out. And then finally Centauri, which is for children who are a bit weak-willed, and they maybe struggle to stand up for themselves. So maybe if in the playground they get pushed around a little bit, for example, I can just help them to kind of stand their ground a bit and be their own person. That is it for the child stages, and then I'll move on to the teenage stages in my next video. I guess the main one, I think, which is really key for a lot of children, is walnut. And there's so many different transition stages as kids go through so many different stages of life when they're little. And yeah, if you're interested in making up a personalised blend, you can do so at mindfulremedies.co.uk, which is my website. I'm Lucy Edwards. I'm a Bach Flower practitioner, and through my website you can either book a consultation with myself, or you can create your own your own personalised blend with up to 7 remedies in a bottle. All right, I hope you found this video helpful, and yeah, I'll let you know when the next one's uploaded about teenagers.